Okay, are we ready? So, bit of an introduction. A bunch of people in my last YouTube video saw my reaction to the Isle of Man TT and said that I would probably enjoy the insanity that is also a Group B rally. Now, admittedly, I've never heard of this before until now, so I don't know what to expect outside of everyone just keeps saying it's crazy. And no one would lie on the internet ever. So, so we're gonna watch some Group B rally, okay? Zeros, thank you so much for gifting us up to Chase, and Punish for gifting us up to Miles. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's a fucking lie. What do you mean? No one would ever lie on the internet. No one would ever lie on the internet. I do, okay, jokes aside, I do think people are actually being genuine with their suggestion of watching it. But like I said, I've never heard of it before. I've never watched it before, so I have no idea what to expect. This is a tribute video to it, and then the second one we're going to watch is, it just says the absolute insanity of Group B rally. I don't know what that means. But it sounds insane because insanity is in the title. We're going to watch the tribute first. Okay. Pause. Give me a second. There we go. Dude, this seems like it says was. Also, this is a tribute. Is it not? Does it not exist anymore? Why am I emotional? Why? Why am I emotional right now? What is this music? Dude, I'm about to cry for a thing I didn't even know existed until like 2 days ago. It does not exist anymore. It's too dangerous. It's gone. It's a little dangerous. Okay. So they got rid of it because it is too okay, I see. Because of Spectator and driver death. Ah. Okay. I can tell why people would say that this is probably insane. I got ya. I'm emotional. Why am I emotional? I have no connection to this whatsoever. Why am I emotional? Oh shit, everybody running out of the... Well, I can see why it was dangerous. I can see why it was dangerous for spectators. Are you kidding me? Bro. You would... There's no way. Who even knows how fast those cars are going to? That's crazy. Look at this. Look at how close he is. Look at how close he is. What the fuck? This shot, people are jumping out of the way. Well, yeah, I would too. That's not what I meant. What the fuck? I just meant like, why are you even that close to begin with? What? That's crazy. Well, it really just depends on the day, actually. Dude, some of these people are so close to a vehicle that is going so fast. What? What do you mean? Chili fish cake. Aw. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by Twitch chat too. That's very kind of you. Motorsport version of skydiving. I feel like that's such a good way to put it. For the gram, I mean the new shot. Yeah. For the gram in the 90s. Some of these people are just, that's crazy. Look at what the bro. There's no way. Look at this. It's like playing GTA, but the people actually move out of the way of your car instead of being on the sidewalk and then jumping in front of it. What's up, Stig? I can't even imagine being the person in the driver's seat, knowing that like at any given chance, you could just completely obliterate one of these people. What are you supposed to do? It's not your fault they're in front of the fucking car, right? I'll be honest. Outside of the people who are just standing in front of the cars while they're driving, who knows how fast toward them, it seems like a really cool thing to spectate. Obviously, it doesn't exist anymore, but it seems like a really cool thing to spectate. So I get why these people are there. Now, I don't understand why they're standing in front of the cars. Like I said, really just depends on the day. But for the most part, I don't understand why they're standing in front of the cars. But I can understand why watching something like this or like spectating something like this is really cool. It's, I don't know, like one of a kind, I think. That's probably why. It's probably a big reason why, actually. This was before my interest in the sport was really hit. Was born into being interested in cars from Colin McRae and the 20TB Impreza. When was this? When was this a thing? What years? I mean, obviously it looks 90s, but I just don't know when. Did they always have a passenger telling them where to go? Because this guy had like a note taker that had like, he's like the guy holding the fucking MapQuest instructions, telling you which turn to take next. Does anybody remember having to do that? And print out the directions to go somewhere using MapQuest? That's a nav guy. He tells what turns are coming up. That's crazy. And it was still too dangerous. It started in 82. This was like late 70s, early 80s. Okay, so late 80s. Okay, so that's why it looks like early 90s. I see. Huh. It wasn't around for very long. That's very telling of how make freaking dangerous it was. Yeah? I'm gonna go with yeah, probably. Look at how small that road is. Oh my god. Oh, oh, recovered. Oh. Oof. Oh. Oh, he just bumped it. Oh my god, that could have been so bad. No. That man right there almost died. This man right here. No. That man looked like for a second he wanted to see Jesus, and then And then he second guessed himself, and then he moved out of the way. Because, like, he's the only motherfucker left in the road. Okay? Everybody else is already gone. By the skin of his jeans. By the skin of his bell bottoms, dude. Oh my god. No. No. Look at how... Dude. Dude. Look at how close they are on either side. No. 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 Oh, it sounds so good. Oh, hold on. Oh. Ow. Hold on. Yo, do you see how close he was to these people? Do you see this? On the other side? Oh, I guess they kind of moved. They're all like backing up a little more as it drives by. Oh my god. Ooh, ooh, that was kind of smooth. Okay, that was kind of sick. Meow. That man's reaction is literally me right now. What the fuck?
Long flat left, maybe over brow.
Thank you, David Reisney.
30 flat left. 100 flat right.
Okay. This one is by Slap Shoes. And it's just titled The Absolute Insanity of Group B Rally. I think it's more of like a documentary style? Yeah. So we're going to learn a little bit about it because I don't know anything about it. So we're going to learn. You're going to learn today, chat. It seems like most of you already know a lot more than I do. So you're going to learn today, Misty.
When auto racing first began in the 1890s, it was extremely simple. Get a bunch of cars and drivers together and have
Look
them
at 'em
race
go.
from one town to another. First one there wins. In a time before purpose-built racetracks or electronic timing and scoring existed, this was the easiest way to put on a race and have an undisputed winner. However, these events were held on public roads, and thus you couldn't sell tickets and anyone could just waltz up and watch a race for free, or at least a segment of it. People wanted to watch the entire race and were willing to pay to make that happen, so around the turn of the
They're
20th
flying,
century,
dude.
auto racing migrated
Speed of
onto
light.
horse racing tracks, as there were already hundreds of them dotted across Europe and North America. Fans could watch the entire race, get food and drinks, and even bet on the outcome. And the best part...
Sounds like a horse race. Later, Steak. Have a good one. For some reason, I smell hot dogs. I don't know. For some reason, I smell hot dogs. I don't know why. Maybe someone in my building is making hot dogs.
part was all the infrastructure was already built. In a span of less than 10 years, motorsports went from almost unrecognizable to looking exactly like a modern racing event today. But no matter how much the sport of auto racing changes or how much different it looks as the decades drag on, some people are always going to want to do things the old way. Even to this day, there are still racing divisions that host races on those same horse tracks from the 1900s.
They are on horse tracks. Did he say that before? Did I not just say it sounds like a horse race? And then he just said that they're on horse tracks? Holy shit. What the fuck? I must have missed that. Oh, thank you so much for 17 months. Love me, say that you love me. I don't care about anything but you. Hold. Mwah. Thank you for the resub. I love you so much. Do I want Culver's? Everyone always says Culver's is really good, so I'm gonna say yes. I was gonna say something else and I forgot. It's time to repopularize chariot racing. Oh my god, please. That would be so fun. Are you kidding me? That would be so fun. I've never had Culver's, so I don't know if it's good or not, but I've always heard really good things about it for a very long time. So I'm gonna say get the Culver's. She's totally hitting on you again. Always.
People who insist on racing in the old styles are just in it for the nostalgia. Others are purists
That's so
and say
cool.
it's the only real form of racing. But most see it as an old art form that deserves to be preserved and continued at all costs. Thus, some drivers still held on to the point-to-point style of racing that had started it all. In 1911, the Rally of Monte Carlo was held in Monaco, and the name stuck. That style of racing forever thereafter was known as rally racing. Eventually, instead of one-day point-to-point races, the long rallies were broken up into segments run across multiple days. That way fans could watch more racing and get more bang for their buck. After World War II, motor racing saw an insane boom in popularity all over the world. By 1950, Formula One had begun competition and several rally series had popped up. But in 1973, the FIA, the sanctioning body for F1, threw their hat into the rally ring and created the World Rally Championship, or WRC. Immediately they saw success as they gained the rights to the Rally of Monte Carlo, and many other major rally races all over Europe, be it in the paved streets of Monaco, the snows of Finland, or the mud of Sicily. The WRC did it all and had one of the most challenging schedules on the planet.
That was, what did he say? That was in the 70s? And it still exists now? Or was it earlier? I'm pretty sure he said 70s. That's pretty cool. Do it, Detroit. Grady's. Oh. So yeah, so I mean, it's still around even now. That's pretty cool. Hi, Ram Ram. Rally is insane. I've never watched any rally stuff before. I mean, I've been to stuff as a kid, you know, like different races and different tracks and different, you know, whatever, but I don't think it's been rally stuff specifically. To be fair, I was pretty young. And we are the retirement home for a reason, so that was a while ago. That was a long time ago. So, yeah, I don't know. Hi, Ram Ram. How you doing? Ram Ram. Ram Ram. Don't think they rally in the U.S.? The U.S. has NASCAR. I mean, I know there's a bunch of other stuff, but NASCAR has always made me laugh in terms of any sort of like motorsport. Probably because I grew up with it. Like, I grew up with friends and who had families who always watched it, like, pretty religiously. And I understand, like, racing and, like, you know, I don't know. NASCAR for me is just, they're just driving in a circle. Sometimes really fast and sometimes not, you know. I get there's a lot more to it than that, especially as like a driver. But I think other things with motor vehicles are a lot more entertaining, if you will. So, but I get why people are into it. I don't hate it. It's just not for me.
Soon, rally racing was becoming more popular than Formula One, because unlike in that series, all the cars in the WRC were stock cars anybody could buy straight from the dealer's lot. The WRC had a rule that in order to race a car in their series, a manufacturer had to produce at least 5,000 units for commercial and private sales. This rule made the Lancia Stratos one of the most recognizable race cars ever made, and it won the WRC's championship top division 3 years in a row, from 1974 through 1976. Even in America and other places where the WRC didn't race yet, people knew about the Stratos. Kids had posters of it on their walls. Those lines are unmistakable. Just look at that thing. However, by the time the early 80s rolled around, there was a problem with the WRC. The numbers of divisions or groups they ran were too specialized and too restrictive for the automakers to justify manufacturing 5,000 units necessary to meet the WRC's regulations. Also, the 6 groups they had hamstrung the teams with tons of rules in the way. So in 1982, the
Ooh.
head of the FIA,
Ooh.
Jean Balestre, made a radical move. He condensed down
Radical.
the number of groups from 6 to 3. 2 stock divisions would remain, but the third was something entirely new. Usually when a sanctioning body is trying to win over teams and factories, they introduce new rules to cap costs and keep them happy. But
Yeah.
this time the FIA would take away the rules and say anything goes. So long as the car has 4 wheels and the engine breathes air, you can run it. For the 1982 season, the FIA and the WRC effectively threw the rulebook out of the window and said, let her rip.
Huh. And thus the Group B rally was born. Holy shit.
Group B, as it came to be known, was pretty much the Wild West of auto racing, only really matched by the insane northeastern supermodified scene back in the United States.
Fuck is that
Instead
thing in
of
the bottom
5,000
right?
units needing to be produced, it was lowered down to 200, and if you changed something on your car from one year to the next, you only needed to make 20 more. A laughably low limit. There were no restrictions on horsepower, turbo, and superchargers were given the go-ahead, and you could run any engine you wanted. And even the dimensions of the cars were not mandated, meaning that you could watch a rear-engine Porsche 959 compete directly against a front-engine Soviet-built Lada. Yeah, the commie car. Group B was completely insane, and I love it. And the manufacturers put their money where their mouth was by putting forth some of the most monstrous cars to ever grace a race course. They started throwing money at their Group B programs and let their engineers go hog wild. Lancia were here to take their crown back yet again with their rally.
You could literally do whatever the fuck you wanted. You could just do whatever you wanted. Rulebook? No? Doesn't exist. Okay, Chook. Had to have 4 wheels. That was it. What is he? 4 wheels and something else. He said 4 wheels and something else. What was the other thing? Why are you people on the track, dude? I don't know why they're standing on it. Ooh. Oh yeah, the engine breathes air. That's what he said. Yeah.
Successor to the Stratos. It had a 2-liter rear-mounted 4-cylinder engine that produced 265 horsepower. That doesn't sound like much, but with one of the few rules being a 960 kilogram minimum vehicle weight, about 2,100 pounds, that meant the 037 could absolutely fly through the streets. Lancia would claim the manufacturer's title in 1983, and they had yet another classic car to their name.
Did you see that? Not this clip, the one after it. You ready?
Had yet another classic car to their name.
Boy. Oh my. People are scrambling. Did he hit somebody? Hold on. It's really blurry. It kind of looks like he hits one of these people right here. Like, that guy looks like he gets obliterated, right? Unless it's a ghost. Who knows? There's no way. This guy, oh my god. Oh my god. That is...
Lancia would claim the manufacturer's title in 1983, and they had yet another classic car to their name.
That is...
037 in the Martini colors would become as iconic as any race car could ever hope to be. But their main rival in the 1980s was unquestionably Audi and their Quattro series of cars. The fact that the word Quattro rung a bell for you tells you how influential this series was in its heyday. Audi had won the title in 1982 with a nifty idea: 4-wheel drive. The car was a front-engine design and looked fairly normal, but it had a turbocharged inline 5-cylinder motor, and the 4-wheel drive meant that all 4 wheels could put down the 340 horsepower it produced. It was significantly over the minimum weight, being just a touch under 2,500 pounds, but that much power combined with a way to actually get it on the ground effectively meant that Lancia had serious competition. 4-wheel drive for rally was largely seen as a novelty before Group B, as it was just too unreliable and broke easily. But Audi had apparently found the secret sauce and changed the game forever. They also started an arms race by constantly updating the Quattro. They started off with the Quattro A1 in 1983, but next they debuted the Sport Quattro S1.
Ooh.
This was a big step up in 2 ways. First, it produced 100 more horsepower than the A1, despite using basically the same engine layout. And second, it really delved deep into the ever-evolving world of aerodynamics. Aero had been something that race teams all over the world had been fiddling with since the 1950s, but cars at the time simply did not go fast enough to make it worth spending that kind of money on R&D. But Group B pushed the envelope so much in the power department that aero was now a real concern, and the cars began looking less like street cars and more like rocket ships. Peugeot.
Yeah, I wonder why. Everyone wanted to be the fastest. What do you mean? What's up, Chief? How's it going? Just came here for my Ireland Man video. What's up? Hey, what's going on? Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Can you guess why it ended? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that it's probably very dangerous, and a lot of people probably died. I'm going to assume that's why it ended. Nope, that's not it. There just wasn't enough money in it. There just wasn't enough money. That's what it was.
Peugeot was also in the thick of it with their offering, the 205 T16. It had an inline-4 turbocharged engine that made in excess of 500 horsepower and had aero scoops jutting out of every corner of the car. And despite it having that big front engine compartment, that's not actually where the engine is. It's in the middle for better weight distribution, because this is Group B and you can just do that sort of thing. It won the manufacturer's title in 1985 and 1986 with Timo Salonen at the helm. Now's where we get to talk about the absolute mad lads and lasses that drove these things, because they were every bit as weird as their cars. Timo Salonen was a Finnish driver who, despite his appearance making him look like a tax accountant, was the best driver in Group.
That's rude. You didn't have to say that. You didn't have to say that. That's rude. You didn't have to throw that man on that bus like that. He's catching strays from the fucking... From 20... When was this? 2024. That man in the 80s is catching strays in the year 2024. That's crazy. Holy moly. This poor guy.
B's history, winning more events than anyone else. He was a laid-back man who never lost his cool and insisted on driving the car with just one hand and the other one being permanently left on the shifter. Stig Blomqvist took up driving duties for Audi and tamed their Quattro series, being instrumental to their title in 1984. Walter Roll won the title for Lancia in 1983, and of course we have to mention the Queen of the Hill, Michèle Mouton. She is arguably the greatest female race car driver that has ever lived. She set the Pikes Peak hill climb record in 1985, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and to this day she is the only woman to have ever won a WRC event. And there you have it, a recipe for success. The fastest cars ever built for rally racing mixed with the best drivers in the world. The FIA wanted to give the WRC
Best cars, best drivers, scariest race? Question mark.
a shot in the arm, and they had done it. By 1984, the WRC was more popular than Formula One, and fans flocked to these events in the hundreds of thousands. Sometimes as many as 400,000 people would buy tickets to see these cars and drivers in action. There were very few, if any, crowd control measures in place for Group B events, and those 400...
This, brother, I know you can see the other side of this hill, and you know when there's a car coming. But what the fuck?
place for Group B events, and those 400,000 people gotta go somewhere.
That is
people would crowd the racing lines and even stand on the track itself just waiting to get the perfect vantage point to see these race cars do their thing. Some of these videos are just jaw-dropping to watch. It's like the automotive equivalent of the run.
Bro. Oh. No. No. Absolutely not. And being a driver, know that you have all of these people's lives in your hand.
Jaw-dropping to watch. It's like the automotive equivalent of the running of the bulls.
That's
I don't
crazy.
even know how the drivers or their co-drivers managed to see the road ahead of them. Mechanics and crew reported that after a segment had been completed, they would find bits of clothing and hair stuck in the grille and wings of their cars. Body paint.
What did that man just say?
Had been completed, they would find bits of clothing and hair stuck in the grille and wings of their cars, body panels splattered with blood, and even fingers wedged into the air ducts.
What? What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean? I don't even know how to respond to that. A souvenir. Oh my God, stop. A fucking souvenir. Okay. I'm like speechless. I don't even know how to respond to that. I don't even know what to say. That's crazy.
Co-drivers managed to see the road ahead of them.
No
Mechanics and crew
wonder.
reported that after a segment had been completed, they would find bits of clothing and hair stuck in the grill and wings of their cars, body panels splattered with blood, and even fingers wedged into the air ducts. Group B was absolute mania. The coolest race cars, the best drivers, the most rabid fans on earth, everything had worked out for the WRC and the FIA beyond their wildest imaginations. What could possibly go wrong?
A lot of people died, probably. I don't know. Just guessing. Just guessing. Just guessing.
By 1985, these cars were so fast and there were so few rules in place for safety that even the drivers were starting to voice concerns. Another rule in Group B, or really lack thereof, was that cars could be made of any material, including aluminum. Those Audis and Lancias that weighed scarcely more than a metric ton were able to do so because of their aluminum frames and roll cages. And the thing about aluminum, it likes to bend.
Yeah.
If you've ever been on a commercial flight and got a window seat above the wings, you know how much aluminum can flex during flight. That's a good thing for a plane, but not so much for a car. Rescue workers were also not numerous enough to do anything in case a car went off the track. It could take half an hour for them to show up on the scene, and their communications were also horrendously lacking.
Half an hour? So they didn't even have precautions in place if stuff even happened? So when they mean no rules, like they really mean no rules. They really mean nothing at all.
Oftentimes, the only way they found out that a driver had wrecked was when another driver drove past, finished their segment, got out of the car, and reported the smoke they had seen to an official. By the time medics and firefighters arrived, it was often far too late. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of spectators crowding the roads made it hard to get to the scene even if their communication was better. On May 2nd, 1980, another driver drove past, finished their segment, got out of the car, and reported the smoke they had seen to an official. By the time medics and firefighters arrived, it was often far too late. Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of spectators crowding the roads made it hard to get to the scene even if their communication was better. On May 2nd, 1985, at the Corsica rally, a Lancia 037, piloted by Attilo Bottega, went off and slammed into a tree. His co-driver was okay, but when medics arrived 20 minutes later, they found the co-driver limping out of the woods and Bottega dead still inside of the car. The drivers petitioned the FIA to do something, but they determined that at the speed the car was going, nothing would have prevented Attilo's death. It was more or less hand-waved away as a freak accident. Racing is inherently dangerous, that's true, but the FIA's investigation left drivers with little peace of mind. But later in the year during the Argentinian rally, Ari Vatanen crashed in a scary rollover. He broke both legs and a few ribs, one of which punctured his lung. He and his co-driver survived, but they both vowed to never race in Group B again.
I mean, I feel like if you go through something like this, yeah, you're probably never going to want to do this again. If you come close to dying, there's a pretty good chance that you're probably not going to do this again. Now, I don't know. Some people are crazy, but I would bet that most people probably wouldn't do it again.
Broke both legs and a few ribs, one of which punctured his lung. He and his co-driver survived, but they both vowed to never race in Group B again. The cars were becoming so fast with so much power that one driver said the cars moved faster than he could react. It was more or less driving on instinct, right on the razor's edge of what was humanly possible.
See, that? That's like past adrenaline. I feel like that's past adrenaline. That's like I don't know. That's
Going into 1986, the FIA finally budged and outlawed aluminum roll cages and set limits on aero devices like wings and spoilers, in hopes of slowing the cars down. But everything else remained the same, no limits on power and no crowd control measures. Because coming in 1987 was the new Group S division, Group B's replacement. Here there would be virtually no rules. Manufacturers only needed to make 10 road cars to reach the production limit, and the automakers were already developing their new round of supercars. In March 1986, the Portugal rally was held, and the country had already become a hotbed for gearheads of all stripes, and now Group B would get their shot at glory in the country. People flooded the streets, and the first incident of the rally occurred when a cameraman was basically pushed into the line of fire, and Timo Salonen damn near ripped the man's hand off with his car and completely destroyed the $3,000 camera.
What?
And now Group B would get their shot at glory in the country. People flooded the streets, and the first incident of the rally occurred when a cameraman was basically pushed into the line of fire, and Timo Salonen
Someone pushed him?
damn near ripped the man's hand off with his car and completely destroyed the $3,000 camera. The next
That's attempted murder. That's attempted murder. Are you kidding me?
accident would not be so lax. Joaquim Santos, a native Portuguese driver, started off in his Ford RS200. Wanting to see the hometown guy rip through the streets, people crowded more and more onto the course. At one point, a spectator jumped out onto the track and Santos swerved to miss him. He then overcorrected and the car slid broadside into a group of people. His co-driver Miguel Oliveira said that in Group B the cars were so fast that he just had to look at his notes and feel the track turn for turn. But in this instance, he suddenly felt thuds and bumps as the car careened into the crowd.
Bro. I can't believe this was even allowed for as long as it was. That's crazy. What?
32 people were injured and 3 people died, including a mother and her 11-year-old son. In a disgusting move, the FIA continued the race and did not tell the other drivers what had happened. When the
That's so fucked up. Okay. So it didn't just end because it was dangerous. It ended because the people running it were absolute fucking knobheads. Like, it's not just the fact that it's dangerous, it's the fact that it's dangerous and they didn't handle it well at all.
drivers completed the segment and got told what happened, they banded together and vowed to go on strike to stop the competition. But the FIA kept things going, and Jean Balestre said he would punish any driver or manufacturer that walked out. At the
Ain't no way.
Corsica rally just 2 months later in May, Henry Tovinen and his co-driver Sergio Cresto were putting on the race of their lives, winning stages left and right. But on the second day of competition, their Lancia went off at a point where there was no guardrail, and it flew off of a steep hill. The fuel tank immediately ruptured, and fire erupted from the crash site. Drivers completing the segment reported to officials that they'd seen black smoke in one of the turns, and by the time rescue personnel got to Henry and Sergio,
That's
there was
way
nothing
too late.
left of the wreck except a charred frame.
Yeah, what,
Now
like...
inaction was borderline criminal. And after international pressure from drivers, manufacturers, and governments, Group B was immediately banned from competition and never got to see the light of day again. And its successor, Group S, was scrapped entirely.
No shit.
After Group B's disbanding, Group A, the more strictly stock division, picked up the banner and marched forward. But this time with the restrictions and safeguards the drivers of the 80s had wanted. Now there were crowd limits, they had to be kept further back in most areas, and rescue personnel were more numerous with helicopters in the air and radio communications opened up between them. Now if a driver went off, their officials would know about it immediately and be able to send help within a few minutes rather than half an hour. Even still, rally racing remained popular all over the world. The Subaru Impreza WR...
Well, yeah, because it's not like... that the dude in charge was acting like the reason it was so popular is because people were getting hurt. No. People want to see cool, fast cars, right? And then they just didn't do anything about the fact that people were literally getting hurt and dying. Like, yeah, of course. Once you start taking better care of that, it's not going to get any less popular. The fuck?
And the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo became classic cars, and their computerized traction control systems and driver assist are commonplace on road cars today of all makes and models. The features you take for granted in your personal car and the safety precautions in place at every racetrack today were earned out there on the ice, snow, gravel, and dirt stretching from Portugal to Corsica, from Finland to Argentina. People had to pay a high price for those things. And if there's any silver lining to Group B and rally racing as a whole, it was that they have saved countless lives through these technological advancements.
Yay.
The WRC is still competing today. and the envelope is still being pushed with the proper safety measures in place to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes. And even with all the new rules set up, limiting horsepower and boost, and making the car sturdier with steel, if you watch a modern WRC event, you can see that the true spirit of Group
It's still
B
scary.
never completely went away.
Yeah. It's still scary as shit. Oh. Okay, that's cool. What the fuck?
Today, the cars have a lot less horsepower, but they're actually faster than their Group B brothers, if you can believe it. And with modern seats and belts, they're safer than ever. There's never been a better time to be a rally fan with cameras broadcasting every angle of every stage. And yes, you can still get uncomfortably close to the action if that's your thing. For any of my European fans
Shit.
watching this, we've got it pretty good over there. Don't forget that.
No.
Anyway, I'm Slapshoes. Thanks for watching, and until next time, y'all take it easy.
No. Thank you, Slap Shoes, for the video. I can't believe you made fun of that one racer. But otherwise, good video. That's crazy. We have ads happening in about a minute and a half, so I am gonna go take a break really quick. I kind of want to watch rally stuff now, but like modern day rally stuff. I'm definitely not interested in seeing the people like dying or almost dying, right? Like, that's not fun. That's not my kind of entertainment, you know? I would be interested in seeing more modern day rally stuff. Because the modern day like clips that they were showing at the end actually looked really, really cool. I think this would be fun to watch. Maybe we'll watch that sometime. I've never watched anything rally before. But even just looking at some of these modern clips was really cool. So maybe we'll have to watch some like actual modern day rally stuff sometime soon. Yeah, hold the deaths and severed fingers, please. Like I'm okay. I don't I don't have to see all that. I'm good.